Alright, so I finally played Hellblade 2. So for the last video I made, I got a lot of feedback and criticism, should I say. People saying, you don't get the right to say about anything about the game. You haven't played it. Or heavily defending the game, saying that, oh, you just like playing God of War games. Or what were you expecting? This was exactly like the first game. Well, now that I have played the game, surely I have a right to have an opinion. At the very least, let's agree with that. So right off the bat, is Hellblade 2 worth $50? Absolutely not. No matter how you slice it, no matter how you look at it, the good things or whatever positive things this game has, well, there are. It is definitely not worth $50. There are far more better games that truly deserve your money. I'm sorry, but Hellblade 2 does not deserve $50. So the only remaining option to play the game, if you're not gonna buy it outright, is Game Pass. So what do I feel? Is it worth playing on Game Pass? Well, it would probably depend. Especially for me, I need to add extra context in my case because the price for me for Game Pass is significantly different from everyone else, or at least most other people. So let me break it down. As some of you know, I am from the Philippines, and the price of Game Pass here in the Philippines is 119 pesos. And how much is that in US? Checking today's exchange rate is a little over $2. And I need to elaborate that the PC Game Pass here, although it says it's only for PC, it actually applies as an Ultimate Game Pass here. So meaning I get all the perks of the Xbox Ultimate for $2. And with that said, would I recommend playing Hellblade 2 at that price? Well, if you want to satisfy your morbid curiosity, or if you want to play a interactive movie, shall we say, then yeah, I would say so. But if you're paying the usual rate, like let's say around $15, I would go as far as to hesitate for recommending you to even try out this game. So let's get to the real reason why you clicked on this video, is my take on Hellblade 2. Look, I'll be honest, my opinion is probably not very different from most other YouTubers out there. But I still want to say my piece because people kept saying I don't get the right to say anything because I haven't played the game. Well, now I have, so now I get to say my piece. So the staunch supporters of this game will probably say, oh, I'm just chasing the trend, or I'm just saying what's popular. But yeah, probably. But this is what I really feel after my 5.5 hour experience. But look, I've been saying this for a couple of videos now. I just want the games industry to be better. I want Xbox to be better. And if somehow the rumored Hellblade 3 has been greenlit, then I want it to be a good game. I want it to be an awesome game if it can. That is why I'm making this video, apart from chasing the trends or talking about it because it's the in thing right now. So let's begin. So let's start with the positives. Yes, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 has good things going for it. The easily noticeable one is the visuals. The game looks amazing. Senua looks amazing. The environments look amazing. The particle effects looks amazing. And I have a mid-range PC, and to my surprise, it actually still looks pretty great. It looks better than I expected it to be. The entire footage that I'm playing in this video is my footage of the game, and it still looks pretty great. I'm sure the Key9 people will notice that it's not on max settings. If there is gonna be a Hellblade 3, I do hope it still becomes even better. But more importantly, I do wish that the game is less linear or less narrow. More on this later when I talk about the negatives. But another good thing about Hellblade 2 is the voice acting. I think the main character, Senua, whoever voiced her, she does a really good job. As well as the people, the voice actors rather, whispering in her head with her mental illness. But there is a caveat to that, which I will also elaborate later on. The sound design, the music, the overall ambiance of the game is what I believe Ninja Theory envisioned. And that about wraps up everything good about Hellblade 2. Now let's talk about the negatives. Everything that has been said with the critics that I trust is true. This game is purely or mostly walking. That feels like a glorified tech demo, sad to say. It's like Ninja Theory forgot that they're making a game and not an interactive movie. Honestly, I really think that the plot of Hellblade 2 would have worked far better as a movie because it's the story of Senua in search of the root cause on why her people are being taken to slavery. And when she does find out the source, it does get quite interesting, except that the execution, especially towards the end, I'm not gonna spoil it. Let's just say it is terrible. It's such a terrible cliffhanger. It's such an awkward place to stop. And it's quite obvious that Ninja Theory didn't have the resources, or at least Microsoft did not allow them to develop the game further. At least that's what it felt like for me. Apart from the endless walking, throughout the game, you will hear the voices inside Senua's head. Look, I get it. Ninja Theory wanted us to put ourselves into the shoes of Senua, what it feels like to have an illness. But that's just the thing. An illness is not a good thing, and therefore, it's actually really, really grating and really annoying. It's like they used those voices as a filler to make the walking seem less boring than it actually is. And again, I believe this would have worked better as a movie because with the movie you have a shorter time, it's not going to be a 5-hour movie, that's for sure. Maybe an hour or two where you don't have to excessively rely on those voices in her head. Only in particular moments to up the ante or increase the climax of what's going on. It just doesn't work putting it in an entire 5-hour experience. And the puzzle segments of the game, if you could call it that, are not even puzzles, or at least I don't consider them puzzles because walk here, look at this object, look at this object in this angle, look at this object again so it can open a path to the third object you need to look, therefore completing the puzzle. This is just the loop of all the puzzles in the game. Literally, you do literally this in the entire game. No variety, no level of creativity, just the same style or the same mechanics over and over again. The only collectible per se in this game is sigils that you find throughout the game. They're quite hidden that tell a short story of a particular character, which honestly I didn't care for because at that point I was so bored with all the walking. I just simply wanted to get to the end of the game. And now finally the combat. Look, I intentionally left the combat towards the end simply because, believe it or not, I prefer the walking. Given everything I've said, everything negative I said about the walking, I prefer that over the terrible, terrible combat in this game. In normal circumstances for a video game, you'd get more excited in combat. But for Hellblade 2, they managed to do the impossible. Combat is actually worse than just simply traversing. I suppose we should give them credit for being able to pull something like that off. The best way to probably describe it for someone who has no idea, think about it, it's like an on-rails, one-on-one combat. It's like a one-on-one sword battle that's like playing Time Crisis, where you press A to dodge, X to light attack, Y to heavy attack, and that's about it. It doesn't even matter. I'm not even sure if it matters if you use a light or a heavy attack. And they simply throw enemy after enemy at you, and they just keep spamming attacks. Well, to add a little variety, they added this shining medallion that gives you a chance to kill one person, then the next person comes in. And the only time it becomes hard is because, again, they throw like 20 enemies at you at some point, or somewhere around that number, where they slowly chip away your damage, and then eventually, when you get to like the 14th guy or the 15th guy, you're so low on health because of all the damage the other ones did to you, then you die. Then you just rely on the checkpoint where you resurrect in, let's say, the 12th guy. Then you make it to the end because you recovered health from reviving from a checkpoint. That's how, if there's any semblance of difficulty, it's because of that. Somehow, a game in 2024 has a more shallow combat system than Dynasty Warriors. And believe me, I love Dynasty Warriors. And somehow Hellblade 2 managed to top that in terms of lacking in depth. Overall, I believe Hellblade 2 is better off as a movie. Again, I keep repeating this because that's what it feels like. For those saying that, oh, you shouldn't expect it to be playing like God of War. Well, would it really hurt for me to expect like better puzzles, more variety in the puzzles, stuff like that? And maybe improving the combat, not just simply going one-on-one? An on-rails one-on-one, if I may add. Ninja Theory really forgot the gameplay element of their video game. And to the people who are saying that, if you knew what's going on in the first game, why were you expecting something different in the second game? Well, sequels are there to be better, especially in an industry where they expect the next iteration of a product to simply be superior, at least in some aspects. So for those who are saying that it's just like the first game, that's like saying if you keep your expectations low, you won't be disappointed. Sorry, but I'm not buying this from a studio being acquired by Microsoft. the company that provides pretty much that can provide pretty much unlimited resources to a developer. They were pushing this to be one of Xbox's blockbuster games, and this is all that they could deliver. Sorry, I'm not gonna keep my expectations low. Again, let me reiterate, I want Xbox to be better. And as of now, they have nothing to show for it. Hi-Fi Rush, they closed down the studio. Starfield was lukewarm. Redfall, we all know what happened there. Look, if you really like this game, then good on you. Sincerely, good on you. But as for me and for many other people, we expected better, and that's all we want. Good games. Who knows? Maybe in the next Xbox showcase, maybe Doom will finally be the one that'll lift Xbox. But Hellblade 2, it's a disappointment. I'm sorry. I didn't play the first game. I know people love the first game, but this sequel, it didn't stick the landing. So to answer the question, is Hellblade 2 really that bad? Sadly, yes. Do not buy it at $50. If you're getting it on Game Pass or you're trying it out on Game Pass, try to make it at a price point around $2 to $10, then maybe it's worth it. Or if you want to try it out of morbid curiosity. But other than that, steer clear of this game. What do you guys think of Hellblade 2? Sound off in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching, and do consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.